Yeah, I think we are doing it live. I think we're live.
We're doing it live. Are we live? I'm gonna try to watch it.
Yeah,
I'm
you
going to
are.
try to go to YouTube, and it's going to take a while to update
We're doing it
that we're live, but it's happening. I'm excited about it. Are you all excited about it?
We're all excited. Boy, the lighting here is just all whacked.
Yeah, it's live. I'm turning off this light and hoping it'll get better.
Adam, you have a Cobalt t-shirt on. That's cool.
How could you even tell that? Did I I certainly do.
Well, you stood up maybe a little bit or something at one point, or like now I can see it, or something. I saw it at one point.
Yeah, it's the Cobalt.
What other
I
shirts
have
are people
a Team
wearing?
Fortress t-shirt, I believe. I don't know if you can see that.
I can see that. Greg?
Blue.
Are you,
Do you have a generic?
Yeah, I have a black shirt.
is it
Oh,
hands?
yeah. Does it have a V-neck, Greg?
No, it's just I have like
Is it
crew neck?
hands?
mic volume thing. It's hands, of course.
Not
Is it just
true to
a
the
crew
limit?
neck?
It's a crew neck. That's what I prefer.
What constitutes a crew neck? Do we know?
The regular t-shirt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like all the t-shirts you own are crew necks.
Yeah.
Adam.
Lifeboat. What type of t-shirt do you prefer? The deep V? Probably not. Few would prefer that, I would say.
The V-neck is nice. It's kind of open. It's not
Eric,
as constricting around your neck.
I guess. I hear that. I can understand that. I can understand that.
Well, these are important. These are important things to talk about, but perhaps it's beyond the purview of
It
this
probably
this
is.
podcast and/or stream.
Yeah. Well, all right. So tonight we're just gonna be talking about a bunch of random hobby-related things. I think next week we're hoping to record another podcast. So this episode's gonna be a little less serious. So
I mean, we're always really serious.
yeah, we're always really serious. But and I think pretty soon another convention is gonna be starting, Nova. And I
Yeah, I
assume
think tomorrow evening, perhaps,
so.
right
Games
in our
Workshop will-
backyard, practically.
I think it was named after the cosmic Marvel superhero. Nova.
Yeah, Nova. Lifeboat says like the Warcraft movie. Serious. I would question, did anyone even watch that film? Like literally, did
I bet
anyone watch it?
Lifeboat did.
You probably did, didn't you? Otherwise, you wouldn't make that comment, huh?
Yeah, that could be true. It could be true. But yeah, so yeah, Nova's gonna
I
happen.
can't believe how bad it was. I just watched it. Whoa. It looked bad. That's all I can say.
That's interesting. How would you even go back to watch it? Like even remember it exists?
Yeah, I mean that's actually
Duncan Jones, did he do Moon? I think he did Moon.
Whoa. I wonder
Like,
how did he get
a movie about being on the moon?
How did he get roped into?
Yeah, it certainly
film?
sounds like he was just suckered with it.
I think he's David Bowie's son or some shit.
I think it is something like that. Yeah.
Well, I'll be damned.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want that burden either.
I don't think anyone would.
No, kind of like the new Star Wars films. No one really wants that burden.
Yeah, even if you like
Well,
Star
who
Wars.
watched the trailer for The Mandalorian? I didn't.
I actually watched that. That looks pretty good. It looks pretty good.
There was a trailer for it?
Yeah. Over the weekend or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
was.
cash. Yeah, the reason why you'd want to get involved in Star Wars is strictly to get the money.
But Lifeboat's talking about Duncan Jones directed Warcraft for the money.
For the money. So do you think I felt, because I feel it was in like development hell for a long time, because no one cared about it.
Well, Lifeboat, did you watch it because of like the new servers going up for Warcraft?
The classic Warcraft servers, they went live. Apparently it was a buggy mess, which is sort of nostalgic, I hear.
Yeah, well, that's fine. So is everyone doing all right, Greg? I see in the background, it looks like there's a book back there.
I have also, yeah, there is a book back here. It's a book that I wrote with my father about shooting handguns.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, I think we mentioned
to be
briefly
released in October, no, November, I think November 28th, which is Thanksgiving. I don't know why it's being released on Thanksgiving, but probably that means that people can have their copy on Black Friday, the day afterwards.
I think you're going to get big sales on that Black Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The publisher sent an advance copy to myself and the co-author, our father, and like it looks really nice, like well printed.
Where can we get a copy, Greg?
You can go to Amazon. There's an Amazon ordering link. If you type in shooting handguns and type in Gregory Wire, W-I-E-R, it shows up.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Shooting handguns is a little bit generic, so probably if you just type in that, you'll find a bunch of other shit. Yeah, the cover is nice and gloss.
Greg, I typed in shooting handguns, and it's the 5th thing.
Well, what if you type in with my name?
I assume it'll be first.
Eli said, I'm going to trample someone to get Greg's book. Fuck yeah, you are. Get in on that Black Friday, man.
Yeah, if you type in Gregory Dwyer, it comes right up. Comes right up.
I'll send you a copy, Eli. I'll even sign it.
Shit, I want a signed copy. I'll buy it and I'll have to come over, Greg, and get you to sign it.
Well, my thought was for a select few people, I'll draw in the bastard noise skull holding the gun and write, "Bring it, motherfucker." One of the earlier drafts of the back cover of the book, which I'll show you the back cover now. So now the back cover.
Lift it up a little higher. Yeah, that's good.
The back cover now just has this bench with a handgun, with the slide open for us to see that it's not loaded, and some ammunition. But before that, there was a picture of somebody holding a gun. And to me, my first inclination when I saw that was the phrase, "Bring it, motherfucker."
Well, yeah, it was awkward because the person's head was chopped off, or not chopped off, but it was like cropped from the scene.
Yeah.
So it was really awkward and somewhat unnerving, and I don't know, to me didn't give the right impression when this book is more about how to, like, I don't know, be safe and demystify some of this stuff.
Yeah. I'm just gonna see if I can find the "Bring it, motherfucker."
Eli says, I actually like the idea of writing my own book called Shooting Handguns with Gregory Wire. That way the market is further saturated.
Well,
sounds pretty
Eli,
good.
I mean, we could write that book. Schiffer would publish it.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Okay, so Greg found it. Oh yeah, so this. Yeah, I guess we probably shouldn't. That's good.
I, of course, added the skull.
The bastard noise skull. It's good.
Yeah, the bastard noise.
Greg, this is for
Yeah,
internal
the
use
bastard
only.
noise. Wow. A few people. Well, if people are
It was
seeing this,
horrifying.
maybe it means some of them will buy the book. I think it's worth it.
It's worth it. That's great.
Yeah. Well, so yeah.
So if anyone here buys it and wants it signed with a little sketch of "Bring it, motherfucker," I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but yeah, it's exciting that it's gotten to this point, Greg. So
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
great.
it looks professionally done. I think the text inside is good because I wrote it. It took me like, I don't know, I think I started writing it in 2016. No, I wasn't writing it all the time, but so I started a while ago. Yeah, I mean, it's well printed lifeboat. It feels like quality that only 1999 can buy.
And I guess if we get back to the hobby and everything, I feel in some regards it could actually be a pretty good reference if you're like interested in um, learning a little bit more about firearms in general and like how they're actually used. And so a lot of
and
the
why Games Workshop is doing it wrong.
Yeah. So a lot of the information in there is some of the stuff we sort of belabor in our podcasts or modeling posts and such. So
yes, we harp on that all the time, and so now this book is maybe some evidence that we know at least some things about handguns and guns, to the point that we wrote a book and it's published and it can be yours in November.
All right, so I guess we've dallied on that a bunch. I guess the first the first thing we can really talk about are hobby happenings. Part of the episode. I think since we're not actually recording a podcast this time, maybe we'll slightly modify the name of it.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be a little different, maybe a little less formal because it's not actually going into the podcast. And I thought that was a perfect opportunity to, instead of referring to it as hobby happenings, we'll use Greg's more colloquial, dumber title of the Hobby Hoedown. So we're going right into the Hobby Hoedown right now, everybody. Where we'll talk a little bit about some of the models and things hobby related that we're working on. And we may talk about some other hobbyists' work and such, but I feel we want to reserve that to the more formal hobby happenings section, just in hopes that maybe more people are exposed to it, because we're pretty confident very few people listen to this stream.
Actually, Eli asks, does your book cover assault rocket launchers and the ingenious designs necessary to construct them?
It doesn't, Eli, because the book is largely all about shooting handguns, but Schiffer has already said that it would be a cool idea to write a book about rifles, which I probably will not do. But if I did, maybe there could be a section about the ingenious design of firearms in the 41st millennium.
But yeah, Lifeboat, you are here. Thank you, Lifeboat.
And you're often here.
Same with you, Eli. You're both companions for these streams, and it's very appreciated.
Certainly.
But so with all that said, getting into the Hobby Hoedown. What have people been doing?
So I haven't been doing anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say Greg probably hasn't done anything, which is fine. I've been working on a few things, but the main thing which I actually have shown up on the screen now is I'm
getting distracted.
Yeah, I'm always getting distracted with other projects. But currently here, I'm working on a Death Guard Space Marine. Actually, Eli says, I will accept the challenge. I will ride shooting rifles with Greg Wire. That's good.
Oh,
That's good.
yeah.
But yeah, so this iron, I essentially wanted to try and take a Primaris Space Marine and re-sculpt the armor to make it look like Mark III iron armor. And on top of that, I thought it would be a good excuse, since he's to be a Chaos Marine. I could make use of some of these like old, I don't even know which edition these were from. Let me look at the sprue. From 1990, they had these cool Chaos heavy weapons.
Yeah, I don't even recognize those.
Oh yeah.
We were like 4.
Yeah, and so like there's this kind of, in some regards, stupid looking rocket launcher with like a face on the front, and it's like, hell yeah, we're getting all the nostalgia up in here. And so
I feel you did a good job of like attaching it to like a better looking arm and like doing some sculpting to kind of make them to connect well. So I think it looks good.
I still have to do a bunch more work to make it look even better, but I think it's going pretty well. And in general, the Primaris Marines, they're actually pretty easy to modify and resculpt some of the stuff to get other armor marks, particularly iron armor.
Do you have a sense of what you want to do to like, are you going to do any other stuff to like make him more Nurgle disease sort of stuff, or do you just want to make like just decaying looking armor and whatnot?
So at this point, I haven't actually decided all of that. I think I certainly want to do some more battle damage to the armor itself. And then on top of that, like I may go in and start adding some other like subtle mutations or something. And I know another friend had suggested maybe having almost like fungal growths and stuff on the Marine and armor, into the notion that that additional growth could maybe even provide additional like armor and like resilience, which sort of plays off of a lot of the background.
You're gonna have to get all those goblin models you got at them and take all the little mushrooms.
I just sculpt them.
Nah, yeah, but you wouldn't want that but
I think I kind of like the fungus idea. Otherwise, you could sculpt giant bacteriophages and say that he's a viral vector of viral contagions.
That would be so cool, Greg. And what's so cool about it is like,
the biology makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awful.
But bacteriophages look cool. They look like little lunar landers.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, also, I mean, the model looks good, Adam.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with it.
How much more time do you think you have to put into it? Lots.
I'll have to put a lot more work into it, but I'm hoping by the end of the weekend, or maybe about another week's worth of work. Estimate, like a vague estimation.
He looks almost done to me. Just add the other arm, make him holding a tech deck skateboard, and call him done.
Slamming.
You're ready to go.
Well, I mean, I was sort of thinking it might be neater, like since I'm trying to channel some of the cool, like old school look at some of the Devastators, maybe just have his other hand in like a fist, and he could either be like holding a rocket that's probably too big, that doesn't represent any of the rockets in the rocket launcher, or holding like this really big fucking like Auspex or a scanner or something.
Be pretty cool.
He wouldn't be looking at it or anything. He'd just be holding it.
Be cool.
Or you could be holding a parchment that has the phrase like "Our world, our rules."
Oh God. Jesus. Or wait, Why stop there? We could make him holding like a Mondo fruit drink.
Or he could what would even be better is if he on the front of his chest plate you painted the Thrasher skateboard magazine symbol.
Pretty cool.
That would be
He
rad.
probably still reads Thrasher every week to relive his youth days skating.
That was
at the
back when the
skate
Emperor
park in
was
San
still
Diego.
fucking cool and he wasn't a poser.
If he
Yeah.
could go back in time to like our time, he would probably have a Levi's symbol on there.
Yeah.
Getting all those brands, getting all the branding in there.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Well,
All right, so yeah, I mean that's largely what I've been working on. I've also been playing around with some of the newer Warcry models, and I think we'll kind of eventually merge into talking more about the Warcry models and the few that I've worked on. And I've been pretty surprised by a lot of the models, and I think there's been both good and bad.
It's that.
Repeat
we
that.
can talk about that before.
Have you been surprised?
Before we talk about that, you can say the very little things I've been doing.
Yeah, what have you? We just assumed you weren't doing anything.
Oh, I mean that's basic. That's basically true. But I finished assembling both of these little Knight Lancers for Adeptus Titanicus. And like they're good.
They're awesome, actually.
They're really nice. Like, and maybe I'll paint them. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think actually there's a Kickstarter going on for Unreal Studios that are making a bunch of resin bases for Adeptus Titanicus that I think is actually going to end in like, I don't know, 12 hours or something. And I haven't actually ordered anything because they're really expensive. But
get on that, Eric.
I feel maybe I should.
Get on there right now.
Tell me what to back. I'll do it.
There's not an obvious thing to back because like, I
What's
guess
the
maybe
name of
they're
them?
designed for various different mandibles for the game, but since I haven't actually played the game, I don't have any of those mandibles. But so yeah, I've been working on that, and Adam gave me some of the Warcry terrain, so I've been slowly working on assembling.
Yeah, pawned all that terrain off onto Eric. Here, you deal with this.
It seems like the terrain, I mean, it was mentioned briefly last week in kind of the unboxing thing, but it seems pretty nice. It maybe isn't quite as detailed as some of like their just normal plastic models, but the plastic itself seems to be very similar to their model plastic. Because I've worked with some of their previous terrain, which is like out of China, that didn't always look that good. And like the plastic glue and stuff I found didn't always work quite as well, but it works nicely on these. That's so good. I've been, assembling some of that, and like the stuff seems nice, although it is kind of tedious. And if you want to remove the mold lines, which I feel obligated to do, like it takes a long time for the Warcry terrain because a lot of the walls have these like grates, steel grates and such on them that just so many mold lines. And I mean, they're not that egregious, but like they're there, and I know they're there.
We all could carve off the grates.
What was that?
You could carve off the grates.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of true. But I almost wonder, like, and I'm sure some people do it, but it'd almost be like for doing terrain like this, having a Dremel tool with like one of the little rotor like sander things would probably be kind of good for just
or just like a file in general. Maybe
I tried to use some files, but I found they didn't work as well as I wanted them to.
Okay.
But yeah, it's sort of slow work, but I'll keep at it so we can actually try to play Warcry. But I guess, that maybe is even more of a segue. Because last week we did a sort of a preliminary unboxing of Warcry and looked at some of the components and such. But now, Adam, you've actually had kind of the week to kind of look at some of the models. So I feel we can talk a little bit about some of our impressions of them and how they sort of relate to just other
models.
games.
Yeah, so I feel of all the models, the nicest ones are the Unmade and the Corvus Cabal, maybe they're called the Crow ones. Um, and I think primarily the Unmade, for instance, are probably what I would consider the best, just because their proportions look the most believable, and they're not as outrageously muscled as some of the other ones, like the barbarians and the iron golems and stuff. And while even those, like the proportions for those are still, I feel, better than a lot of GW standard models. Um, and most of my work recently has focused on the unmade, and at this point I still haven't done that much with them, but I've started cutting out some of the pieces, trimming them, and kind of comparing the sizes and stuff of different aspects of the models to other relatively common Games Workshop models. And the big thing the big thing is, I know when I initially saw the models, I thought like, oh wow, look, these are really small, and that's only partially true. I'll say. Um, they look, if you compare them to like a lot of the standard heroic scale GW stuff, they certainly look slighter. But if you would actually compare them to if you actually compare the sizes, they're pretty similar to most GW figures, and in a way that I don't necessarily think is that good. So, for instance, I took a few pictures that um, or will be at least somewhat informative. So, if you compare this is one of the standard unmade warriors to a Primaris Space Marine. And if you just glance at this, they look like, oh wow, the Primaris, he looks a lot bigger. And I feel in actuality, if you take this model and look a little closer, like I feel the unmade in general are they're almost like the perfect size to fit inside a suit of Primaris Space Marine armor. So that in
Yeah, like
its
if they were both standing up kind of tall and such, like certainly the unmade is like not as bulky and such, but like it looks as though it would fit fairly nicely inside the armor,
and it
such
sort of
that the
gives the
armor would be
notion that
relatively thick.
like I feel a lot of people when they think of Space Marine armor, they like to imagine the notion that it is pretty heavy armor. It's not like paper thin. So I feel in many regards these unmade models are essentially just Primaris Space Marine in size. And so
Yeah.
that in itself isn't necessarily too much of a problem, particularly if you're just playing Warcry itself, because most of the Warcry models, I think they did a pretty good job of like internally scaling them. And so if you look at these models here, the Unmade and the Crow ones, they look smaller, and they are smaller than like say the larger like barbarians and iron golems and stuff like that. And so there's kind of a nice range of different model sizes, and I think that helps keep things interesting. But if you kind of want to take these and merge them into like Warhammer 40,000, I think they'll still work pretty well. But as soon as you start really looking and trying to scale stuff, it essentially just falls apart. And I feel that's not necessarily too much a fault of these models, because the scaling has been a mess essentially forever. Like if you compare like a Space Marine Primaris to even like a Gene Stealer Cultist. I mean, they're not really very different in size, like at all. If anything, like they couldn't fit in one of the Primaris suits of armor. So I don't know. And also here, for instance, here's a picture of one of the Unmade's like body and leg compared to a Gene Stealer Cultist. So you can tell immediately that the proportions are pretty different. Like the Gene Stealer Cultists are a lot bulkier and squatter. And I feel for the most part that looks pretty good, but they're certainly they're very heroic. Like,
Yeah, to me it looks like, particularly for the unmade, that like the unmade looks kind of slight in certain respects, but I think that's mainly just because it's not quite as heroically scaled, and they're proportioned with somewhat of a more true anatomy. They
the
have
hands are smaller, their heads are smaller, their feet are often smaller. And I mean, where else do I have? Like here's a picture if you're comparing one to like a Space Marine. Like this is one of the Forge World Space Marines. Like, I mean, they're a lot bigger. And I mean, a lot of that comes down to the fact that the Space Marines, they literally don't have torsos. So,
and their legs are stocky and short. But yeah,
yeah.
like this unmade is just taller and
Mhm.
than this Forge World
And
iron armor.
if you compare them to like one of the, in this case, this is like a modified Elysian like Forge World Guardsman. Here, I feel it makes a little more sense. Like they're quite a, they are actually larger than one of these Forge World Guardsmen. And I feel in that sense that sort of works a little better scale wise with say a Primaris Space Marine. But in that sense, it really only works if you're using a Primaris Space Marine as a Space Marine and not.
The larger Primaris.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I feel it's just a lot of it is that for whatever reason, yeah, the Warcry ones, it's almost as though the designers had a little bit more freedom to their designs and they weren't as stuck as rigid to like some of the heroic scale tenets. But admittedly, not all some of the Warcry warbands have some of the I don't know issues with heroic scale. So like it's not like everyone was quite on the same page for that design, which is so
yeah.
somewhat interesting. Like I think the unmade look the best towards that end. The Corvus ones, their proportions and anatomy are good, but they're still a little bit like maybe slightly more exaggerated. But so yeah, I guess it's interesting. I think at like first glance, since the unmade and some of those models look somewhat slight and they're really not wearing armor at all, they do like at first glance look smaller than Primaris. So like I think in general people will be happy with that.
Yeah.
But like real reflection into it sort of suggests that they're pretty damn similar in size.
So one other thing that we can add to that, which adds sort of a further complication to the matter, different members of the warband are actually pretty different in size. So if you look at these two models here, you'll notice like the size of like the leg muscles, the body, the feet, they're actually very different. And so there are several models in the warband that are like quite a bit different in size. And so that you can also see that as well in some of the other warbands, like what are the barbarians called? I never remember. They like some of
Untamed
the.
beasts.
Oh yeah, okay. There's a reason I don't remember that. their like standard foot soldiers are much smaller than like the larger like leaders and stuff like that. So I sort of
Yeah,
feel like that's true with a lot of these war bands. They actually differ quite a lot.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of neat. Although I guess it makes it so you maybe have to be somewhat careful if you're trying to do conversions and such to like use arms and things that like actually look reasonable with the bodies.
Yeah, I mean the models themselves, like you need to use the correct pieces because they only really fit together one way, and
Yeah,
they fit together really nicely. Like I was pretty impressed with that. But I think of all the models, the best ones in the unmade warband are the slightly smaller ones. Like I think they look better and they certainly fit better in terms of scaling with like a lot of the other Games Workshop models.
yeah,
Um,
okay.
and so I don't remember how many of the models in the unmade warband are the slightly smaller ones, and I feel it's probably like 3 or 4 at best. So there aren't really that many of them. Um,
Is the Naruto pose one smaller?
I think yes, the
The
joyous
joyous
one,
one?
what they're called, like yeah, I think they are. Um, so I
Yeah.
think just in general, like I think a lot of the Warcry warbands would be like if you have the money to like buy some of them, they'd be interesting to like explore with like conversions and stuff like that. And since the scaling does differ quite a lot, even within one of the war bands, I think you could use that to make different conversions and different models and stuff, particularly if you are interested in trying to scale stuff internally, like the stuff that you're
Mhm.
making. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. I like them. They're good. I don't know what exactly I'll do with them. Like in some regards, I'm almost tempted to like take one of them because since their proportions are a little better, and just like re-sculpt over everything, like sculpt boots on them and like pants and everything like that, and kind of make like an Ink 28 model from it. So I've
Yeah.
sort of kicked around that idea of doing something like that because um, in at least from when I'm like converting like Imperial Guard and other like human Imperial operatives, the pool of models that I could potentially go to that have like pretty good proportions and anatomy and stuff is sort of limited. Like up until now, most of my Imperial Guard conversions almost always go back to like some of the Simon Egan sculpts from like the Death Corps of Krieg or the Elysians, and that's primarily just because they are they're the best, and at least in my opinion, are the nicest Imperial Guard. They're scaled the
Yeah.
best with other GW models. Their feet are smaller, their hands are smaller, all of that. So I don't know. I might be able to use some of these to further some of that like exploration and stuff that I'm going through.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Okay.
and I guess yeah. So that's largely what those are the main points I wanted to make about the Warcry models. And I this weekend I was I was sort of thinking I might buy the Corvus like the Crow models. And actually, I met Eric at a local Games Workshop, and
Yeah, in Columbia, Maryland.
yeah, in Maryland, and lo and behold, they didn't have them. And then I thought, well, oh, maybe we should go and maybe I could get some of the new Necromunda Enforcers because like they're cool and I wanted some of those. And guess what? They didn't have them. And so
They had a lot of that new Dreadnought though.
yeah, I don't know.
Or I don't even know if they could call it a Dreadnought.
Having moved from San Diego and seeing like a lot of the selection at Games Workshop in San Diego was pretty awful. I was hoping it would be a little different and better here, and I guess I shouldn't have really expected otherwise, but yeah, it's not good.
Well, I feel the Games Workshop stores from heard for a long time, like new products, they don't get that much of it, such that if it is anything that's somewhat desirable,
well, I feel some of the stuff they do and others they don't. But
they had lots of Space Marine news, the new
Yeah.
Space Marine stuff, which hard to get excited over that.
And then on top of that, like most of the other games, like Blood Bowl, Necromunda, like I think they literally had no Necromunda models in the store.
Yeah, they did not.
So
that's kind of
maybe it's just I think they must just not stock like any of like what I would deem like the specialist games stuff. Like they certainly don't have any Adeptus Titanicus stuff. And I think that's sort of just their policy, which
no specialist games.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, so I don't know what they're doing.
Too busy stocking Space Marines, Adam.
Yeah, so to me it almost seems like you'd be better off just going elsewhere, either ordering it online or going to another hobby shop.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could ask them to.
Yeah, I think what they really want you to do is to go to your local store and have them pre-order the stuff for you, and then they'll have it there for you, and you can always do that. And I mean that's fine, but sometimes it's kind of fun, like you don't necessarily think you aren't planning to buy something, but like if you're there, it's like, you know what, these could
You know what? I would like to go spend $70 on a few models that I want to assemble. Okay. But so in that sense, Games Workshop's kind of looking out for you. You go there feeling like you want to waste some money on some models, but then they don't have them, so like you can leave satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, I've saved a lot of money these past few weeks because they just never had what I thought I wanted.
Yeah, and then the excitement wanes and you just don't get it. That's good.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you know what? That's probably fine because I wasn't going to do anything with the stuff anyway. So, like, cool. Lifeboat says, I wish Warhammer licensing was better for games too. That's all. Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. I don't really understand.
They have some good. They have a few good examples, but a lot that are pretty mediocre at best.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah,
I think that's true.
Also, I think up for pre-order this coming weekend is the newer version of Aeronautica Imperialis. Do we know, is that a Forge World thing or is it a Games Workshop thing?
I don't actually know.
Yeah, because I don't really know either, because that would sort of determine whether they would like actually have them at store.
I don't think they will. I think it'll be just like Adeptus Titanicus. This is the type of stuff that they're not going to stock in stores. Like you would have to put these Games Workshop stores. And so, I mean, yeah, this game, I think it's roughly the same game that Forge World released a long time ago. It's just now they're re-releasing it, probably modifying the rules a little. And all of the planes and stuff are now plastic, which is like so much better.
Yeah.
Because the Forge World models were kind of a nightmare because they were they just weren't nice. They were all warped and fucked up. But I mean, I always really loved like some of the Imperial fighters, like the Thunderbolts and stuff. Like I always loved the designs of
Yeah,
them.
the Marauder bombers and stuff have always been really cool. And so this kind of neat. It's an opportunity similar to Adeptus Titanicus. Like this seems like it's an opportunity to like get some of these cool designs in plastic, a lot smaller, like a much
Hmm.
cheaper buy-in to it to have some of these, even if you don't ultimately play it or play it too much. Like it's still kind of a fun way to get a few of
The
those.
planes and stuff are also apparently scaled with Adeptus Titanicus as well.
Oh, they are scaled
I think they
correctly?
are, yes.
Oh,
Oh,
that's neat.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
actually really cool.
So like yeah, I think that's actually cool. So I mean maybe eventually there'll be ways where you can incorporate the little fighter planes and stuff in Adeptus Titanicus. So yeah, they were in relationship to that on there. Eric, keep working on those Adeptus Titanicus
Yeah.
models. Keep working on them. Keep painting them. We need to sometime play the game.
Yeah, well, so that's interesting because they were very big on like Adeptus Titanicus wasn't epic and it wasn't going to turn into epic. But I feel with stuff like the release of this Aeronautica Imperialis, the fact that they are putting it in scale and such, like I feel it is still sort of in the position that they could still go back and make it,
Yeah.
which is cool. Like, but yeah, no, I'll keep working at the Titanicus stuff. I need to finish this painting this Warhound.
So these little
But yeah,
things
like,
are outrageously well detailed. Like the little Thunderbolts. They have like these like the little quad auto cannons and stuff mounted, and like I feel a lot of these like tiny little weapons and stuff could probably work pretty well in conversions for like 40K models, because like a lot of these like barrel sizes and stuff like that are like way smaller than your
yeah,
typical GW weapon, and a lot of them are they're shaped like the common like blast cannons, auto cannons, and stuff like that. It's just they're really small, so I think they could provide a lot of
mm-hmm.
interesting opportunities for conversions.
Yeah, like Adam, when you made all your weapons for the Imperial Guard that you cast, I feel like a common thing that people said was the las guns you made didn't have the standard slanted las gun barrel thing, such that people didn't think they looked like las guns. So maybe like stuff for this could
Yeah, I mean
be.
you could take that stuff, and I feel you could easily modify things, make smaller las rifles, and people wouldn't feel as
Yeah. No, yeah, the models are cool. I actually think in one of my cases here, I have one of the old Forge World Orc bombers from
yeah.
Aeronautica
So
Imperial.
back in the day, we ordered a bunch of the Aeronauticus Imperialis stuff, and that orc bomber was like cast almost perfectly. There were almost no mold lines. I think it's the only model from Forge World that I ever received that was like that. And so that's why that one was assembled. Then all the rest for the game were like a fucking nightmare, and none of those were assembled.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it being in plastic is just so much nicer to work with,
Yeah, they're
easier to
not
clean.
gonna. They won't be miscast, and they won't be
Yeah.
shifted. And I mean, they'll probably by looking at all the pieces and stuff on those models, they'll probably actually be kind of a pain to assemble. But
Yeah, no, there are a lot of pieces. But I mean, that's cool. It'll be interesting to see if like how different the game is. I mean, admittedly, I don't even remember what it used to be like
yeah,
to even be able to comment on it. But I guess hopefully it's like a good game. Like I feel there's certainly a lot of opportunity for releasing other like little fighter jets and things at a smaller scale that would be fun. But
yeah,
like maybe some of the chaos stuff too, because then yeah, they even mention in one of the posts here that you could try to reenact some of the scenes from Double Eagle, which is like Dan Abnett's book about dogfights in the 41st millennium, specifically in like the Savage Worlds campaign. That was really, or I remember it being really good. Like I read it so long ago that I don't really remember it very well.
Yeah, it was good. I
But
liked it.
I believe they were like about a particular army or regiment that was mentioned in one of the Gaunt's Ghost novels.
Yeah.
Maybe Guns of Tanith is like the fifth book, perhaps. I don't remember. There are so many of those the Gaunt's Ghost novels that it's kind of hard for me to keep track of what happened when. But yeah, it's cool. But yeah, it would be neat to see some of the chaos stuff. And admittedly, probably a lot of chaos fighters would just be Thunderbolts and Marauders and stuff that were just commandeered. So
hey, Warclevania, nice to see you here.
oh yeah, hey, good to have you.
Yeah, so I guess that at this point, I don't think they've really given too many details about like the pricing of Aeronauticus Imperialis, but I imagine it's probably going to be pretty expensive.
Yeah, I mean it's a Games Workshop product, so
Yeah.
for the course, I guess it'll just. I mean, you would hope it's not. It like can't be to the level of Adeptus Titanicus.
No, certainly not. I mean, it's still gonna.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see because, like, I don't know how much desire there was for this product.
Probably
Okay.
not a huge amount.
Why was it even done? Why are they bringing it back?
Yeah, I don't
happy
really.
They're cool. I'm happy they
I
are.
think I'm glad they're doing it too, but it seems a little interesting that they would.
Yeah, no, I don't know. But again, yeah, like I'm looking forward to it. And like this would be certainly be easier to play than Adeptus Titanicus because the planes are a lot easier to assemble.
They're smaller and
Yeah.
but
And you don't really necessarily have options. Like you don't have to pose the stuff or
they're also, since they're little fighter jets, like you're less inclined to need to fix them.
Yeah, that's true too. Actually, are the flying bases, what do they look like? So they have the weird little gaming bases, which they were redesigned from the Forge World game. They look pretty similar though. I imagine the little clear pegs, they probably have a rounded joint at the top that you like attach via like friction. Because it looks like the planes are like tilted in different angles and stuff, which wouldn't really be possible otherwise.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. It looks cool. We'll have to wait. Maybe they'll talk a little bit more about the game this weekend.
You know, it'll be interesting just to see what people think about it, like as it starts to get released and such. It'll be particularly interesting to see if like how it's supported. Like Adeptus Titanicus is still actually being supported. I mean, somewhat slowly, but
Eli says GW started data churning all the drunk eBay searches I have done. Now we get a reboot. You're all welcome.
Thanks, Eli.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know. We have a bunch of I think we still probably have the Forge World like Thunderbolts and like Orc Bombers and stuff that we bought. We probably do somewhere.
I have no idea where we.
I don't know where they are.
The rule books are safely in our friend Brad Smith's hands.
Oh yeah, was that true? Were there multiple books?
I think there were two. Maybe it was just one. I thought maybe there was.
I sort of think there were two.
A rule book and then like I don't know, a campaign book or sort of like a setting book, but I don't really remember.
That was a pretty big hobby fail. We
Well,
spent like tons
most
of money to
most
get all the
things.
stuff. Oh, yeah, that's true. Like, well, who am I to say? Like, I feel nearly all the stuff I bought from Games Workshop is never actually assembled or used. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, Pennsylvania, but it does sort of look like some of the fighters or bombers could be at different scales. But like,
they say they're not, but I don't.
but then I don't know. It seems a lot of the pictures seem to be like kind of distorting the scale. So I'm not sure. But admittedly, I think the Thunderbolt is just a really large, like single pilot fighter,
Yeah, they're
like
huge.
much larger than like you would anticipate. Which I mean, I guess the Lightning fighter, I think that's what they're called. Like they're a fair bit smaller. So I mean, maybe that's a little bit just like a small portion of it. But it is kind of interesting to have like the Marauders and such like look practically the same size as the Thunderbolts. So then, which looks kind of weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought they'd be like the same size. Or do they? I wonder, does Forge World even sell that stuff anymore?
You mean the Marauders, like the 40K ones?
The Thunderbolt is 155. Was it really pounds? Holy shit.
It's just 150 US dollars. That's not.
Oh wait, they changed it now. Yeah, that's still a lot.
But
Yeah, it's $155 for
I
a.
should have seen that to be 250 or something.
Well, then yeah, the real question is how much is one of their Marauders?
Yeah, do they still sell that? I would guess they probably don't even sell. Oh no, shit, they do. $340. Oh, wait a minute. So wait, there's the Imperial Navy Marauder bomber and the destroyer, and they look really different.
You see, that looks like $340. Looks more like what I'd expect. Tumult.
So I mean, actually, if you're looking at them, they are pretty different. They're pretty weird in size. Like they're shaped a lot differently. They're a lot more slender, and so actually, it doesn't. Looking at this, it doesn't surprise me that much if the Marauders are actually sort of appear to be even smaller than the Thunderbolts. It's interesting, like you're looking at some of these old, like the Thunderbolts and the Marauders, like I think they look great. And then more recently, they came out with this like Avenger Strike Fighter, and it looks awful.
Yeah, the design just isn't as good.
Yeah, like they tried to take the same design elements and stuff, but it doesn't quite cut it. It's still kind of cool looking, but
It is kind of awkward.
it's really awkward.
Whoa.
That's also $155. Like I would never
Yeah, why get that when you could get a Thunderbolt?
yeah.
No reason. I mean, I guess admittedly, I don't know. If you're playing 30K, maybe the Thunderbolts weren't around then. I don't know. I don't know about my Imperial Navy stuff.
Yeah, I really don't either.
Oh.
Maybe you should have read the book Double Eagle.
I did read Double Eagle, and that was in the 41st Millennium, Greg.
Is this not? I guess they're all in Horus Heresy times. All these.
I don't remember. Like the newer fighter thing, I kind of thought maybe that was released fourth, but no, maybe it wasn't. I guess they released that Space Marine jet fighter thing, which I don't remember what that's called.
The Stormbird?
No, they released a fighter jet.
Oh shit. Oh, what is that called? I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, so they released some stuff, but I don't think they were ever quite as cool as the Thunderbolt or the Marauders and such.
No.
But well, it is what it is.
Yeah, agreed.
So what do like tomorrow by this time they will release like all the new reveals and stuff for the Nova Open. Does anyone have any predictions? Anything cool gonna come out?
I don't even know what they're doing anymore.
It's kind of hard to predict. They keep releasing stuff so quickly. I don't know. Do you think they'll show one of the other Warcry war bands for like the two war bands that were in the rule book but aren't the models haven't been shown?
I didn't even remember that was a thing.
There's like the Siege Tyrants or something and another war band
Okay.
that I don't remember.
See.
Yeah, I feel, or maybe that's not what they're called. I feel at least one of them will be released. Yeah, or it's probably another Necromunda plastic kit. I think they sort of suggested that they're gonna have at least a reveal for like all their major products.
So Shadespire, Nighthawk.
Yeah. No, it'll be for their new thing, Beast Grave or whatever.
Or I personally hope they'll have a new release for combat cards.
Yeah, they probably won't have that. Maybe they'll actually show some additional Sisters of Battle.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
probably will. I think they will.
I mean, I've been thinking they'd be doing that for like almost all these last reveals, and they have not. But maybe they will finally. But I think there was some video released earlier showing some like skeletons and stuff for Age of Sigmar, so maybe they'll be releasing some more death models.
That's very possible, I feel.
But the real question is, do you think we'll be underwhelmed by it? I feel most of the reveals I'm excited for them, and then I'm just underwhelmed.
Yeah, I might hear that. They probably will show the other Warcry war bands that are like mentioned in like the book, but they don't have models for yet.
Yeah, Warts, I mean, yeah, all right. Like, I feel they've shown a lot of parts for various Sisters of Battle stuff that, like, it'll probably just be like 1 week. It's just like, and next week, like, the Codex is out and like all these kits. And it's just like, really? And it's just like seemingly out of nowhere. Like, they've slowly built it up, and then just 1 week, they'll just be there. They'll be out. And then you'll go down to your local GW and they won't be there because they only got 2 boxes.
That's exactly what it'll be. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Like, something about them being underwhelming is probably just because like they're constantly having these reveals.
But they're all like small, and you couldn't see anything, with the exception of maybe some of the newer ones. But I don't even look at them anymore.
Yes, I don't know. I'm still excited for it, but I don't know what I'm actually excited. I guess to see if they do reveal the new Warcry war bands. I think that could be neat.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
That's good to hear, Watson. When you got some of the contrast paints because I heard they finally like kind of restocked them in a lot of places. Have you had the opportunity to use any or? because actually, like Darren Latham, he's had been a heavy metal painter at Games Workshop until he became one of their model designers, and like he's largely responsible for the Gene Stealer cultist stuff. He started to do some videos through Instagram of painting, and now recently put them up on YouTube as well. And that they've been fairly nice. Like he's done a bunch of videos about like how he uses contrast paints to paint various things, and like not in the GW like put one thick coat and move on, but how he'll like dilute them and like some of the mediums and do glazing techniques and things, and use a lot of them to like build in shades and whatnot. Let me see if I can find. So like I think it's pretty nice. Let's see if I can.
I was just looking, like they're making some special dice for Aeronautica Imperialis, and the orc dice are awesome.
Yes. Oh, so I think I may have just put a. I put it into a link for Darren's thing through YouTube, but I can probably put it on Twitch too.
Oh, the orc dice. Yeah, actually, wait. Oh, wait, Greg. Oh, the orc dice, I like them.
Yeah, they're great.
They are great.
I really like them.
On a little bandana, that's great.
You have to remind me to buy them. Like I want to buy them. I want to buy like 6 sets of them.
Yeah.
What's on are the Imperium ones? Are they good? They probably just have like.
They have a little eye with whatever color thing with the wind. Like they look good too. But they're not quite the orc skull logo with the goggle.
Yeah, no, the orc
Pennsylvania Forces kit has been ordered and it is rushing to Adam's door.
Yeah, I tried this weekend. I tried to get a box at Games Workshop. They obviously didn't have them. And the other local hobby shop that I sometimes go to, they obviously didn't have them either. So, yeah, so we'll hopefully have them pretty soon, because like I'd like to do something with them, because I think they could help fix a lot of. They could fix a lot of problems with like the scions and shit like that, because mainly just with the legs, their legs look like so much better than what's seen on the scions.
Yeah. Those scions.
Yeah, I mean, like Quartzmania, like you've done a great job kind of showing like what you can do to like really improve the Imperial Guard scion models. Like replacing their legs, like chopping up their stupid looking like hell rifles, and like yeah, they work really well for making like bolters and stuff like that. Yeah, they just look, it's like night and day. Like
yeah, they look so much better. Like removing all those fucking cables and such, and just putting like a magazine. It looks just that itself makes it look a lot better.
Yeah, your Enforcer scion dudes are awesome.
Let's try and find a picture.
How many do you plan to actually make? Because you've made at least like 5 or so, right? I think.
They look so good. Yeah, like I almost can't believe how much better they look as well. Like they look ace. Like I love them. Like yeah, like and then the whole notion like actually giving like stalks on the bolters, fucking great. God, they look so much better. And yeah, turning their little hell rifles into like bolters works. It works really well. Extra little magazines there, like really good.
6, that's a pretty good amount. That is a pretty good amount. I like that how you have like the extra magazines on the back from what I guess maybe are they from the plastic iron armor models? Or possibly the Forge World ones.
Yeah, shit, they're great. I mean, the Scions in general, like their leg poses are like so like wonky and like that they're bad. And your use of the little brass Imperial Eagles and Inquisitor like eyes and stuff are great. That's one of the things that I really wish Forge World hadn't gotten rid of because like damn, like they were
Yeah, no,
probably
they
one
were
of the
not.
better things that I ever purchased from Forge World. And I mean, I don't use the stuff like a ton, but like when you want like a little Imperial Eagle or something like that, like they're the ones you want.
Yeah, it's true.
They're what you want. I mean, I like the Hell guns in general, and I sort of like their design, but like they're just too big. They look ridiculous. Like for instance, like the Death Corps of Krieg, they're like grenadiers. They're stormtroopers. They essentially have Hell guns that look similar to the Scion ones, but they're just like twice, like they're half the size, and they just look so much better.
Yeah, no, they're better. But yeah, so it's good to see the enforcers used for something. So we'll have to see, Adam. If you do you have anything you think you'd want to do with them?
I mean, I don't like. I have to see them and see the size of them and stuff. But like the ones you made, Wartsylvania, like they certainly, I think they fit pretty well with like a lot of the standard GW scaled humans. Um,
Yeah,
okay.
no,
Are
it's
you
a shame
serious?
that
Do they
they don't
really
make.
not make the Grenadiers?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't.
Are you fucking kidding me? What? What the fuck,
Yeah,
Forge World? Or
I mean, because like I feel lots of people like those
they were
models.
fucking awesome.
Hmm.
Oh my god.
Forge World's good at getting rid of
Damn it.
most of the cool things, and then just saturating the market with bad looking Space Marines for the different chapters. Just really
God.
phoning it in.
Well,
And
let's go and look at this. Let's look. Okay, so they have the Grenadier. You can get the Grenadier Heavy Stubber and Melt-A-Gun. Okay, that's something. You can get the Technical Greek Grenadier Heavy Flamer team. Cool. That's also something. But yeah, if you can't get the squad anymore, like oh my god. Oh, you can get the engineers. They're cool. Like they're little Their shotguns are the perfect thing to convert a grenade launcher out of. Not a shotgun,
Yeah,
but
well,
a
the
grenade
last time
launcher.
I looked, you couldn't do it, but the fact that they still had some of the like their special weapons and such, to me, I thought it suggested that maybe they were just
Holy
trying to
shit,
fix
you're
the
right.
molds or
They're
something.
fucking gone. What the fuck?
Yeah, and that's
Oh my god. I mean, they even have the infantry, the at ease ones. Like, I can't believe they haven't got. We should really buy some of them
You should
because
buy all of them.
chances are they're gonna be gone soon.
$72 for 10 guardsmen. Like,
Oh, I
yeah,
mean,
that's
it's
a lot.
almost $30 for one of the like Rough Rider guys. Wow, that
Oh,
sucks because the Grenadiers are awesome. Like, I think I've pretty much used all of the ones that I have. I have one. Yeah, I think I have one more that I was converting into a um like like another judge or another like enforcer model, and that was the
mhm.
model that I was making one with a grenade launcher, and I had converted, which I think I've shown pictures on the before, but I converted one of their little engineer shotguns. I converted that into a grenade launcher because it has the little
Yeah,
rotating cylinder that's like way too big for a shotgun, but works perfectly for a grenade launcher.
not 40K grenades though, Adam.
Well,
They're
that's true.
like,
I mean, the 40K grenade is as big as like a fucking pineapple.
yeah, particularly for the new Chaos Cultists for the new Blackstone Fortress expansion.
Yeah, Wartlemania says the stuff we think is cool probably doesn't sell that well. Like, that has to be true. Yeah, it just
Yeah,
has to
it's
be true.
true. But then, I mean, certainly for
Well, yeah, I see why you assumed that was a grenade launcher or Wartlemania, but like, if
they're
let's go back. Well, here we go. Here, the weapon they sell the individual weapons. So they're their grenade launchers. They are like a single shot grenade launcher, which they look okay. It's just goddamn, they're big.
not as big as those melta guns, though.
The melting guns, they look fucking awful. Las rifles are cool though. They're good. Like, this
Mhm.
is might be the closest like they've ever gotten. Like, there's actually like what might be a front sight and a rear sight on the weapons. So like they have them, and like the Elysian las rifles, like they actually have what appears to be like like something to sight and actually like aim with. So like,
Well, it's probably just because Simon Egan made them and like he made good models.
yeah, way ahead of their time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I figured the fact that like you can get some of the grenadiers with their special weapons and such suggested that they would like have to eventually bring them back, and I thought maybe they were just working on new molds, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, but yeah, the drop troops, they're gone. They were awesome. I feel at least those, like we found out when they were getting rid of them, and then we bought like a whole ton of them. But still
Hmm.
probably didn't get all that we would have wanted. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I
a
don't
shame.
know. Well, it's just, yeah, like they get rid of all the cool stuff, and then they just start pumping out other garbage like Space Wolf models and stuff. And well, actually, that's a talking point. Let's go. So I think Forge World, they recently, yeah, this is so good. They recently put up a thing to pre-order, the like White Scar Horus Heresy like bikers, and it's like such a fucking joke. Like, they essentially just took the jet bikes they had previously, and like they gave them like a different arm. Like it's like so lazy. They they have
Well,
it is so fucking lazy. Like they just didn't give a shit. Like if you were a White Scars player, like I don't see how you could be happy.
well, I mean, people eat that stuff up. They love their Space Marines, regardless of how lazy or
Just like
caricatured
Jesus
they look.
Christ, and then like the bikes themselves,
I mean, I already pre-ordered a whole squad.
you certainly didn't. I don't
Yeah,
like.
didn't.
Oh God, they're bad.
It's yeah, fuck, they're terrible. When they released all those new Dark Angel models, or all those, like 2 Dark Angel models, like a Dreadnought and a Leader
Were they
thing.
actually released?
I think.
Personalities of the Shire. Go back to that. That looks cool.
Well, like I mean, the ruffian leaders. It's like it's sort of bad when you think like maybe I should be buying like some of these models if I
Yeah, I
want
mean, I
models
think
that are
something
proportioned
could have
better.
something could be done with them.
Yeah, I think so. Like
Something
these heads are pretty good.
add them to the cart. Doing it now.
I mean, they look pretty good. They look pretty good.
Yeah, well,
What do we
What
think
was
of
that?
these new like Necromunda character models? They're okay. They're pretty good. Like I feel they would be something you could easily just do like swap some of the weapons and stuff, and like you're done.
Do it, Adam.
I'm not gonna do it. I have too much other stuff to do. But it is interesting if you
Well,
look
you
at.
have like a weekend project where you get. Holy fuck! Look at all those weapons changes back.
Oh
Get
yes,
get one of those models. Do like have like a weekend event where you set aside a weekend. You get the model. You do some conversions. You prime it. You paint it, and then you sell it.
that would be a thing to do, but I don't think I'll ever. Also, I don't think I'd ever do it. But so like these new or Necromunda models, look at his backpack where he has all those weapons. Look at the like.
Grenades.
Well, yeah, the grenades look awful, but like, look at the like buckles to the belt. Like, don't they look awful?
yeah, they're not very
Holy
good.
shit! They're
They look
huge.
they look huge, and they don't look real.
Yeah, that wasn't.
It
Well,
looks
one
like something
thing
out of Minecraft.
about like the subtle differences, um, I guess when I'm saying laziness, maybe the main laziness is that they just take the same poorly sculpted Space Marine model, don't improve anything, don't fix the proportions, don't do any of that stuff, and then like tack on some symbols or like make some terrible looking weapons that are somewhat unique and say like, hey, this is a new unit. Like they don't have any real like they don't have any good ideas for making something different for the armies. It's just
Here, I feel
some
that's
bad looking
largely
shoulder
true.
pads. And it's just like, why did they even waste their time?
I mean, the only reason is because people will buy it. It doesn't have to be cool or good. People
It's
still
true.
buy it, so.
And like the dreadnoughts tend to be maybe the most extravagant looking, but at least the dreadnought itself like is a good tends to be a good design. So like they still end up being better than most of the stuff.
No, it's true. You're right, Waltzwing. And most people, if you're playing 30K, it's like you've already probably decided you're using the shitty looking old Space
Yeah, you
Marines,
drank
and
that Kool-Aid and you're you're in for it.
well, actually, Wartsylvania, you weren't here at the beginning of the beginning of the stream, I don't think. So, what do you think? I'm working on a Primaris Iron Armor Death Guard. Um, I'm resculpting the Primaris armor to make him look like he's wearing iron armor. This is what I feel you would want to do for your whole army. But it's not really very practical.
No.
Because I guess I don't really have a good sense of.
I'd sooner not play 30k than use those those bad, poorly proportioned models.
Well, yeah. So I don't know in 30k what's the scale of the games? Are they pretty comparable to Warhammer 40,000, or do you play like smaller or larger? Yeah, that's sort of.
They're comparable.
What rules do you use?
It's 7th edition.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're basically 7th edition 40k. They didn't update it to the 8th edition. But there's some things maybe a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, converting Primaris to 30k. That's where it's at.
That is certainly what I would do.
Like Forge World, their release schedule for the Horus Heresy stuff is so slow anyway that like you can't rely on that.
Okay, Eli says it's typically 2,000 points or more. It's modified 7th. Are we at 8th now? What version of the rules are we at now?
It's 8th.
Okay.
It's 8th.
Just this past weekend, I found the 8th edition 40k rulebook that I bought, and it's just, why did I buy this?
The 8th edition? You bought that?
The rulebook?
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Huh.
I have it.
Why did you do that?
I was excited.
Wait, but isn't the 8th edition the one that like there are 3 pages of rules?
It's more than that.
I think
But
it
yes.
is.
God, I don't
Background, like tons of missions. Like these are the narrative missions. These are the match play missions. These are the other missions.
I have the one that came in the 40k box set. Never played it, but it sits on a shelf. Yeah, see, that's it. Mine was put on a shelf. I guess in my defense, I bought it and I read the background in it.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty good.
Yeah, so I did a little. I didn't get it in Dark Imperium. Dark Imperium was released, and I went to the Games Workshop in San Diego and purchased the book.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how much I spent for it, but it was a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
It was a lot. It's a nice book, though. Yeah, so I don't know. I'll continue working on this Iron Armor Marine. He's to be a Death Guard, so I'll probably have to do some more work on him to make him look a little more battle damaged and maybe mutated.
Yeah.
That's why he's holding the like 2nd edition Rogue Trader era-esque Chaos rocket launcher.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of stupid, but that's kind of the point.
That's 40k, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we should call this stream to a close soon.
Okay, actually, Wartolanius, do you guys have 2 sources of chat? I think so. I guess we do, right? One through YouTube and one through Twitch.
Yeah, since it's
Yeah.
Stream is going live or simultaneously on YouTube and Twitch, such that regardless of where you are, they show up. The chat show up both places. Like Ward Sylvania, it appears that you're going through Twitch because you have the little Prime icon kinda, and Eli's typing Instagram, but
I don't know. I don't quite remember the circumstances as to why I went and purchased the book.
Why did you do that?
Yeah, you dumb motherfucker. Well, I'll say this, Eli. I would actually be pretty pleased with the notion that you have the Marines from Dark Imperium because they look better than the multi-part Marines that you could have purchased after the fact.
Yeah, it's true.
Hype was the circumstance, I believe. That was it. That was it entirely. Also, I have fond memories when I think it was the 7th edition was released, or maybe it was the 6th. I was still in graduate school, the University of Pittsburgh. It was released, and then I remember I drove that weekend or a weekend after. I drove like 5 hours from Pittsburgh down to Baltimore, Eric, to meet up with you, and like we did stuff with 40K. We might have even played a game. And that was probably the only game of 7th I ever played.
Yeah, hard to believe that we could do that.
But I remember that. It was fun. I liked it.
Not because the game was good.
Well, yeah, you can never know. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, I guess we probably should wrap up the stream. It's like 12:30 here.
Yeah.
But thanks everyone for like joining us and like saying stuff in chat. It certainly makes for a more lively stream.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But yeah, so certainly try and tune in next week. I think we'll be hopefully be recording another podcast then. I guess we'll probably
all cool new reveals.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about what they show at the Nova convention. So get ready to hear a whole bunch of like criticisms and complaints about the models. That's certainly what's bound to come.
It's true.
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Keep on enjoying the hobby, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, see you, everybody.
Over and out.